Hi everybody, it's Andy from Snow Camps Europe, here with part 3 of the Atomic Hawx Ultra XTD 130 GW 130 Flex Atomic Boot Test and Review. So I've been skiing the boots now for the last 2 days. I'm going to go over everything I've experienced with the boot, give you my thoughts on the boot. But before I do start, I just want to say once again, thanks to Atomic for supplying the boots. And please understand, I'm not getting paid to make this review, and it will be totally honest and transparent. And also one thing which is good to know is I typically ski in a 130 Flex World Cup race boot, which is extremely stiff. So some of the comparisons on the Hawk are not like for like, okay? And I'm going to give that consideration as I go through the video. But if you've not seen part 1, in part 1 I run through all of the features of the new boot. We talk about why Boa on the Atomic Hawk, why not on a different boot. We talk about all of the different elements that make up the boot. And then in part 2 I just show you me putting the boot on for the first time. So as I say, I've skied in the boot for 2 days now, and I'm firstly going to talk about the Mimic liner. So what I wanted to do with this test is I wanted to do an out of the box test. I've not done any customization to the boot whatsoever. I haven't had a boot fitter look at it, nothing. I've just taken it out of the box and I've put it on. And the Mimic liner is moldable. You can put it into the oven and mold it to your foot. But it's got this very distinct anatomical shaping around the ankle and the heel area, which I have to say is absolutely fantastic. I've never come across a ski boot that's held my ankle and heel in such a way before. From the moment I put it on, I could feel that my heel was anchored in the boot and it was holding on to my ankle. I have a very narrow ankle. I've got a lot of problems with ski boots over the years, but I have to say the Hawx Ultras, the shape of this inner on around the ankle and the heel is fantastic. Okay. The second thing I found out about the inner was it's an extremely snug fit. It's a 98mm last, this boot. And even though I think that the liner will pad out a little bit, as liners all do, it's still going to be pretty snug. So snug that so far I've actually not really done up the Boa system other than to do a couple of runs to see how it felt. I haven't needed to tighten the boot that much over the forefoot where the Boa is, because the fit of this boot is so snug. Couple of other things that are noticeable about the boot. Obviously you've got the hike and walk mode. I'm going to talk about that a lot more in a hiking and touring video, but the boot is extremely light on the foot. What I've found is when you put the boot on, you have to do the Boa up a little bit just to get rid of some of the excess cable, or you can't clip the boots up without trapping the cable in the cuff. Now that's not a biggie. That just means you've got to just turn that ratchet a little bit on the Boa, tighten a little bit of the excess cable, then you can do the boot up in a normal way. So you do your lower buckle first, and then your top buckle. Then I've been doing up the power strap, and then I've been, as I say, just rotating the Boa ever so slightly to feel that wraparound effect. But I've not had to tighten it massively because the boot is just such a snug fit. And I can't get over, and hopefully I'm not overdoing this, but I can't get over the fit out of the box on this boot. I've not got any pressure points. I've not got any real discomfort. What I would say is I do need to put a custom footbed in there because I can feel that I'm not as connected with the snow as I would normally be. But again, I am judging that on a 130 Flex World Cup race boot. But I feel that I'm getting a little bit of pain or deadness under the ball of my foot and on the inside of my heel. And this is because I need to slide in a custom footbed. But the fit and the liner are outstanding. The shell of the boot, obviously we've got the Boa for the wraparound forefoot rather than this compression over the from the clips. And I can feel the difference between a clip boot and a Boa boot. I can definitely feel it. When I have cranked the Boa up a little bit, it is definitely holding my foot rather than pressing down. But what I would say is, as I say, I've not really tightened up that much except for a couple of runs to experience it. But what I'm finding with the Boa is because I'm used to a cycle shoe with a Boa and a snowboard boot and my touring boots, instead of using the ratchet to loosen the Boa, I keep pulling it. and every time I pull it, it fully loosens for taking the boot off. So I've got to get into my head that I can actually use this BOA the way it's intended, which is to ratchet the boot closed and to also micro open the boot back. And I've been forgetting this, and every time I bend down and I clip it and then I go, I didn't need to clip it. I could have just untightened the cable. So I think if you're used to a BOA on other products, then you may also have that kind of mental block that you have to pop the BOA. You don't have to pop the BOA. It's fully adjustable forwards and backwards. And I actually like the amount of, and I don't know if this is exact, but I think 2 backwards clips is probably equal to 1 forward clip, because it's really micro adjustable, so you can really get that fit. So when I've been loosening it off just to kind of free ski and to teach him, other than when I've popped it, you can really adjust it back, and it's probably more adjustable than the 4-clip boot I'm using at the moment, I would say. One thing I would say is, with the flex of the boot, with the flex of the boot, I am currently stood in some extremely deep snow, and I could disappear at any point. If I do, I'll be back after the commercial break. But yeah, the flex of the boot. Now again, we've got to remember that this has got a walking mode, a hiking mode. It releases at the back and gives us this 54 degrees of movement. I do feel that it's probably not as stiff as I would really like it to be, but you can take the walking mode off and you can put on a bar that locks the boot, which will probably give us that little extra bit of stiffness. But at the moment, it says it's a 130 flex boot. Now, we all know, anyone who knows anything about ski boots, we all know that all of the manufacturers, if you lined up a row of 130 flex boots, whether they be race boots, free ride boots, touring boots, none of them are going to be exactly the same flex. Okay, because they use different plastic formulations. There's all different things that go into it. It's a guide. It's a guide. And I get performance from the Hawk, definitely get some performance. And I'm going to be interested to test it in the off-piste when we get to that. Snow's not permitting at the moment. But as you'll see from some of the video that keeps popping up, I've tested it on piste with some short turns, with some long turns, with a little bit of carving. In the bumps, it's fantastic because it has got that little bit of extra softness that you would want for the bumps. I would possibly like a little bit more stiffness for really carving and getting the ski really on its edge and banging it around. But performance-wise, it's definitely an expert boot. It could be a little bit stiffer. You can make it stiffer with this metal bar that you can retrofit. But for me, the main outtake of this at the moment, for alpine skiing, whether you're an advanced recreational skier or you're a ski teacher, this is a great boot to be skiing around in all day and teaching in. It's very, very comfortable. I can't believe how comfortable the liner is out of the box. I've never had a ski boot that I haven't had to have something done to. I normally have problems with my ankle because it doesn't sit quite right, normally against the inside of the boot. I also have problems on the outside of my little toe. There's little bone spurs that have appeared over the years. But in this Hawx Ultra, I can't feel these. Now, as I said, I'm sure the inner will pad out the more you ski in it, but I don't think it's going to pad out to the extent that I'm going to then end up with a sloppy fitting boot, especially around this ankle area. And then do remember that if that was to happen, then you just take it back into the shop and they can pop it into the oven. They can mold the inner and they can also mold the outer. So the whole boot is customizable. But for my first 2 days in a new, and remember this is a new Atomic Hawx, it's not the old one, it was a new mold to adapt to the BOA. You can still buy it in a 4-clip version. But for the first 2 days of skiing in a boot out of the box, I've never had anything like this. As I say, flex could be a little bit stiffer for me, but I'm sure for the average recreational skier, the flex is more than enough. As you see, I've skied in it a little bit here and there around the glacier. I'm going to ski it a little bit more, and when we get the conditions, I will ski it in the off-piste and make a video about that, and I'm going to take it out on my touring skis. But at the moment, part 3 of the Hawx Ultra XTD, BOA GW 130 flex boot, it's very positive. Something else that I find very confident building is the grip walk. I'm used to walking into the restaurant here on the Alpine Centre on very flat-soled race boots, and it's always a little bit treacherous at the door, bit icy, bit wet as you go onto the more internal floor. Chances of slipping is high. The grip walk, and I've got grip walk on my touring boots, but I don't use my touring boots that often, and I don't go into restaurants in my touring boots because I'm out touring. But they have got grip walk, so getting from the car to the snow is nice and comfortable. But this, being able to take your ski boots off and walk into a place where you would normally be a little bit apprehensive, the grip walk does really give you some confidence that you can strut around. And again, maybe we need to make an après-ski video about how versatile the 54% of that shaft movement is intended for hiking. Could also be good for dancing at après-ski. If you've liked this review, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Any questions or comments, pop them below. If I can't answer them, I know a man at Atomic that can, and we will get him to come on and answer those questions for you. But at the moment, folks, definitely, if you're looking for a free ride boot or a very comfortable piste performance boot, the Hawx Ultra is ticking the boxes for me at the moment. It's Andy for Snow Camps Europe saying bye for now.